wonderful Tuesday morning here, the 26th day of August 2025. Good morning, Anambra is before you. My name is Ajiluchuku Okabwe. Have a pleasant morning, and as we're going to be beginning with the press review on Good Morning Anambra. Don't go anywhere. The show is about to begin. We'll break. And we've been joined this morning by our guest that will be delving into the newspapers that we'll be reviewing this morning. And our guest is Sir Jerry Obodo. Good morning, Sir Jerry. How are you doing?
Good morning, AJ. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Anambra. What a beautiful day. Let's look at the tabloid to see what they have for us. Thank you.
Oh yeah, but before we get into the tabloids, let's begin with news making rounds on ABS website. And we have quite a few for you to dig into. And the first story we have on the ABS website is Johnson Nwankwo Okafor emerges Oka patriarch. And also we have Orifite community celebrates cultural heritage at grand finale of Afio Festival Cultural Day. Tinubu seeks renewed diplomatic economic cooperation with Brazil. Troops arrest 69 suspected oil thieves, dismantled 9 illegal refining sites in Niger Delta. Cambodia moves to strip people who collude with foreign countries of citizenship. That's all we have for you on ABS website this morning. Quickly, let's begin to delve into the stories making it from our website. After all, they say charity begins at home. What do you have to say about Tinubu seeking renewed diplomatic economic cooperation with Brazil? After Tokyo, the next place Mr. President jetted into was Brazil.
Yeah, thank you. It's not a bad idea for you to seek cooperation with the other countries, and for where you have strength, the other may not harm. So there's need for in the olden time, trade by barter. So, but some school of thought before now, has labeled the president a tourist who is always out of the country, whereas the home is not doing well. So if his trip brings dividends, well, it's okay for me, but I can tell you that the ones he did traveled, nothing tangible is here with us, because by now we should have been naming industries attracted, foreign direct investment attracted, and all that, but we have not seen that. So let's see what happens with this trip.
Okay, let's see what happens then. There's another one that concerns us all, talking about our national wealth, with the story telling us that troops arrest 69 suspected oil thieves, dismantled 9 illegal refining sites in the Niger Delta. These refining sites that we are having here, there are times, there is this opinion pool that people have actually raised and are wondering, why dismantle what seems to be working? Why not encourage them, license them so that they begin to pay money? And then let's have this diversification into oil production in Nigeria. What's your take on that?
Yeah, my take on that is that, what you said is quite germane. You could recall that during the war between Nigeria and Biafra, Biafra was refining oil with little or nothing, and these chaps from the riverine area, borrowed a leaf from that, and they are doing it. What the government should do is to set up a cluster of those chaps with their, their genuine and technical know-how to do such refining, and they will be, generating revenue for the government and taking care of their families, and instead of all the time you chase them, and after they go back, the government should set up a cluster, license them, and they will be contributing to both for the economy of Nigeria and for themselves.
All right, let's now delve into the papers this morning as we begin with the Daily Trust newspaper for review, with the banner headline screaming, 2027, PDP shuts out not. And that's how we are seeing it there. We also have story there at the master of the Daily Trust newspaper. Federal government issues fresh flood alerts to 9 northern states. ECOWAS to raise 260,000 counter-terrorism brigades. Residents flee as bandits attack Niger, Kwara. Our drug syndicate framed 3 Nigerians detained in Saudi Arabia. Also, we have here World Hausa Day celebration holds today. All right. Ulama orders flare federal government Israel deal amid heightened Gaza attacks. Osun leads as 1.3 million voters register in 1 week. That's interesting. Let's quickly see what we have for you on the other papers so that we can begin to pick into the stories one after the other. NDLEA bust drug syndicate at Kanu Airport, and that's the must on the Daily Times newspaper. That's our next paper for review this morning. Still on the same mast, NNPCL nears 100% pipeline efficiency, and that's coming from the GCEO. PDP zones 2027 presidential ticket to South, confirms Damagun chairman. Well, interesting. Let's see how that pans out. And also, APC to PDP governors, you failed yourselves, party and citizens. And now, Tinubu Aviation Minister signs landmark BASA agreement in Brazil. NIMET DG6 Climate Smart PPP to end agro-infrastructural development risk. World Health Organization, 47 African countries kick off Health Ministers Regional Forum. And also we have here Nigeria's oil reforms attract $8 billion project set benchmark for Africa, AEC. That's all we have for you on the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. Quickly, let's delve into those 2 stories making the rounds on both papers, talking about PDP zoning their presidential tickets to the south. What's your take on that?
Yeah, my take on that is that I think they are trying to learn their lessons. Before now.
I hope that lesson is not going to be coming out too late.
Yeah, it's better late than never. So before now, PDP has been very unstable with their approach to issues and decisions. But with this, they've taken a very positive step. This contributed to their problem through 2023 election by not zoning the presidency to the south. When the president of the country that just left came from the north. And also not even microzoning it to the southeast that has not produced the president of this country before. So that led to their great fall during 2023
well,
election.
it's enough for most Nigerians, you understand, and political observers to think that PDP actually shot themselves in the foot by not zoning the last election down to the south. And then, what would you say about the policymakers, the kingmakers that felt that they were bigger than the party, in the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Nyesom Wike? Because these were the people that actually made that party not to have a sense of direction. Like the popular saying, two masters cannot pilot a ship.
That's part of what I'm saying. They are the contributors to their woeful outing during that 2023
They came second,
era. Yeah, but that wasn't the president of the country. So, like I was saying, let them, if they want to get it right, even though it's zoned to the south, let them look at the southeast to be precise. You can't be, you take second while you are three in the table. That doesn't, it's greediness, and you are trying to marginalize the other person. So, since we are in Nigeria, or one Nigeria, you should give a sense of, belonging to other ethnic group. So, my take is that it's a welcome development. Let's hope that the likes of Wike and Atiku will not scuttle this arrangement again. Let them just see if they can, in fact, zone it to the southeast, and our brother Peter B is still not picking any ticket. So there's still chance that if they put their house in order, he may look their way. So that's the way I think it should be.
Okay, let's go next to the papers that we have for review this morning, and that's the Punch newspaper is up next for review. 2027 presidency, Makinde orders to fight for PDP ticket. Party zones 2027 ticket to South. Obi may consider PDP return, says Obedient. And we have APC insists opposition will lose in 2027. Osun, Lagos lead as 1.3 million complete voter card pre-registration. And then we also have here 13% derivation fund eases oil producing states debt by 611 billion naira. And we have Nan's vow critical assets shut down over ASU strike threat. External reserves are projected to hit $445 billion by year end. ECOWAS to raise $2.5 billion for 260,000 man counter-terrorism fund. First, I bet you Nigeria will shoulder most of that money. And then we have here military retirees demand pay rise and national honors. Despite federal government's promise, Ekiti-Ondo Federal Road still impassable. Power generation stuck at 5,500 megawatts as Bayelsa gets regulatory authority. That's interesting. Let's see if we'll begin to see the light in some part of the country. Next is the Guardian newspaper for review this morning, and then we are still talking about the PDP convention. 2027, Atiku signals interest as PDP heads for showdown with Tinubu. Wow, this is interesting. U.S. defends new social media vetting for visa applicants. Family laments poor emergency response as woman dies in Lagos lagoon crash. 795 financial institutions among 1,369 firms facing data breach probe. And then we also have here, Southwest leads in new voters exercise as Southeast records lowest turnout. That's subject to discussion. ICPC recovers 1.1 billion naira from Kanu officials as state dismisses claim. Federal government introduces mandatory ethics criminal screening for teachers. Manufacturers lament as return of FOB levy causes a stir. NDLEA busts drug cartel that framed Nigerian pilgrims in Saudi Arabia. Tinubu seeks better, stronger Nigeria-Brazil ties, inks Basa deal. That's interesting to see. Quickly, let's do some talking. Still talking about this PDP. The story seems to be very, very hot, thick, and spicy here. Obi may consider return, and then we are having here Atiku signals interest as PDP heads for showdown with Tinubu. Already, Atiku has said that he stops no Nigerian youth from wanting to contest to be the president of Nigeria. When he was asked that, isn't it time that he left the political scene, having tried to be president of this country several times and nothing seems to be happening? He said he's not stopping any Nigerian youth. That any Nigerian youth that wants to become president, that the field is open. Yeah. And now we've seen him leaving PDP. Now that PDP had their convention and zoned their presidency to the south, obviously Atiku is not from Abia State or from any state in the south. So what do you think could be panning out here? Or is he coming on the auspices that he has married women from the south? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think, Atiku is speaking from both sides of the mouth. And it's unfortunate that another statesman like him should be doing that. Having gone thus far in his public life, a former vice president of this country, having given a shot, to present a presidency for some numbers now, one should have expected that he should, retire and do the job of the real statesman, and be giving advice to the youth and the middle-level cadre people that we delve into politics. So, I think he's though he has not manifested yet, but let him not do what they did in the 2023 era. I have to warn the PDP leaders to be wary of Tinubu and Nyesom Wike, unless they don't want to. They want a repeat of the history of what transpired through the 2023 election era. So, like I have already said, and P2B has mentioned here, that if all things are equal, he might come back to PDP. What I can tell you is that with what is on the ground, having some number of governors manning the state, having done substantial inroads to Nigeria before the 2023 election, PDP is the leading opposition party. And if they can organize their house in order, put in a credible candidate like Peter Obi and the other guys. They will give the president a fight for his money, a run for his money. Those ADC
coalition and
coalition.
The rest of it. So what happens there?
Yes, that coalition.
What happens to Labour Party?
That's the term, coalition. They may come back to adopt PDP. Once they see that a credible guy like Peter becomes back, they will rally around to do coalition.
More like based on your opinion, like yes. Our politicians don't even have an agenda, so to say. Well, based on that, let's go to the next paper for review this morning and see what we have for you while we continue to talk more on the stories, on the dailies. Daily Independent is next for review this morning. Excitement over 5G wins as it faces investment challenges. That's the banner headline on the Daily Independent. Only 5 million subscribers connected in 3 years. That's coming from Mafab Dormant. And then we have here, you have failed your party, Nigerians, APC mocks PDP governors. And I see also here, lawyers hail Mba's transformative leadership and giant strides in 2 years. We have reduced crime by 80%. That's invested infrastructure, education. That's coming from Mba. To deny you your transformative leadership would be sinful. That's coming from Ozokime. And then we said Nigeria, Brazil set for direct air link. Tinubu, Keyamo signed Basa in Brazil. PDP governors tackled ADC for criticizing their Zamfara meeting. That's interesting. We've seen here, PDP has already zoned the presidency to South, chairmanship to North, confirms Damagun as substantive chairman, holds next meeting, October 15. And at the mast of the Daily Independent newspaper, we have here FARC, 2 trillion naira record surge linked to fiscal reforms, oil windfall. Terrorism threats can't be tamed in isolation, says Tinubu. Let's see what the writer is saying. 6 permanent African CDS forum to combat terrorism. No wonder they are bringing $2.5 billion to fight that. And then let's move to the Nation newspaper and see what we have there. Tunji Ojo Ezekwesili differ on president's economic reforms. Man seeks, that's talking about Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, seeks suspension of customs 4% FOB charge. Ojulari, oil theft through pipeline bust, halted. And we still have here 260,000 ECOWAS forces to fight terrorism in sub-region, with riders saying defense finance chiefs to work out plans for $2.5 billion funding. PDP knocks out Saraki Bala from 2027 presidential race. Okay, we've seen here Wike zoning to South vindicates me. Jonathan Makinde will be on the radar. That's how it is on that front page of the Nation newspaper. Quickly, let's see. The Vanguard seems to be calling. Let's see and answer the Vanguard by telling you that the banner headline on the Vanguard newspaper this morning is PDP zones presidency to the South, says APC won't play fair. I wonder, is there a mole in PDP to know that APC won't play fair? Let's see. And the writers there are saying retains existing zoning arrangement, confirms Damagun national chairman, says APC can't play fair. We didn't microzone leadership positions, Governor Diri. Anyanwu NWC signed letter to INEC for new convention. Enugu, Plateau, Taraba, governors not defecting to APC. That's coming from Mohammed. And then we have zoning presidential ticket to South. Too late, Wike's hate, tells PDP. That's on the banner headline. Let's see what we have here at the mast. International syndicate exploits security gaps to steal crude, says NNPCL boss. 5 journalists among 20 killed in Israeli strikes on Gaza hospital. Family, a Lagos hospital clash over patients withheld remains, ICU charges. Wow. Editorial, advertorial rather, Premium Trust Bank meets 200 billion capital requirements. Congratulations to them. State of the Nation Minister Ezekwesili clash at NBA Confab, and we have here, let's, water it down a little with some sports stories here. Yeah. 2026 World Cup qualifier, Eagles good enough to beat Rwanda and South Africa. This is not paper talk. Get to the field and then let's see it happen. Ogodu Ifako Bridge gridlock persists despite suspension of work. And we have here Okigwe massacre. Police go after assassins. That's all we have for you on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And quickly, you were talking about the president traveling to Tokyo and Brazil and most of his foreign trips not yielding positive results. But we can see the deal between Brazil and Nigeria being struck with this direct air flight link. At least that's a positive for people that will be traveling to that part of the world, either to go watch the Rio Carnival or any other business transaction that might be taking you to Brazil. So we can say this is a positive point scored by Mr. President. Yeah,
it's a positive one, but it's not putting, food or meals on the table of the man on the street. The man on the street fly to Brazil. So what I think it should be attracting more is more of industries.
Okay.
Where the unemployed, millions of graduates will be working and they'll be earning their salary. Their dependents will be benefiting. You'll be working towards attracting agro-based industries where the food will be cheap for the common man in the street, and work towards bringing down the cost of electricity so that the common man or the man on the street will be seeing the light. And the artisans will be using the light, work on the making sure that the households are metered. It's unfortunate that the electricity body are still doing estimated billing and is causing a lot of discomfort to the common man in the street. So this is the way where you will say you are touching the lives of the people that you are ruling. They are not leading. Okay.
Now, there's this story that has been almost on all papers this morning, talking about the 260,000 ECOWAS brigades. This is more like a move by the region in order to fight insurgency, because it's not just only Nigeria that is ravaging. Yeah, I guess if you go to other countries, they will have their own stories to tell about ECOWAS. But then the question is, why forming this brigade, and then now you're beginning to think of the finances that you will use in equipping this 260,000 brigade? And you know that crime doesn't need approval. It doesn't tell you when it's going to strike. It strikes. Does it mean that the region, talking about ECOWAS, are not prepared in dealing with this thing? For the fact that they are now talking of marshalling a new arrangement to manage or to the best curtail these insurgencies that we have devastating the greater part of the ECOWAS region.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that $2.5 billion, Nigeria will be the
main sponsors.
The main sponsors there.
Yeah, in the saying of Big Brother, but Big Brother, the home is not in order. So I think if care is not taken, it could be a jamboree where we just spend monies and the thing is still there. The countries could take care of their security if the federal government of Nigeria is sincere ab initio. They could have nipped in the bud the security threats we have in the country, but they handled it with kid gloves, thinking that they can make something out of it. But the thing escalated. If you mind your borders appropriately, making sure that no infiltrators. You don't have to worry about the bandits or with terrorists or security threats. So that's what I think. If the federal government is sincere, that's what they will do. As far as I'm concerned, the $2.something billion is a part of a jamboree thing that they just go about spending, and at the end of the day, nothing will come out of that.
Okay, let's quickly delve into the next paper for review as we do a rundown of all remaining papers before we call it a day on the newspaper review. And that paper will be the Nigerian Tribune. A battle for 2027 takes shape as PDP zones presidential ticket to the south. We've seen that. There's no new story here. And then we have reintroduction of 4% FOB levies worries man, which writer says, say charges may increase import cost on raw materials above 6.6 trillion naira. Drug kingpin, 5 orders in NDLEA net over arrest of 3 Nigerians in Saudi Arabia. We have stakeholders raise concern over farm settlement inherited by Southwest states. Nigeria-Brazil signed direct flight agreement to deepen economic cultural ties. Accede to our demands to avert strike. That's coming from ASU telling the federal government. And now, health, skin in a syringe shows promise for healing burns without scarring. Insecurity, like we talked about, ECOWAS to deploy 260,000 counter-terrorist brigade, over 1,000 terrorist groups operating across African continent, 1,000, that's coming from Gambari. CVR, 1,379,342 registered in 1 week. Osun leads in pre-registration exercise to continue till August 2026. I think we shall be talking about that next. But quickly, let's go to the next paper. That's This Day newspaper. And This Day newspaper still has at the mast NUPRC, Nigeria's crude oil production rose 10% year on year to 1.7 million barrels per day in July. And then we have here Israeli strikes kills routers. AP Al Jazeera orders journalists in Gaza. At Maiden Africa CD Summit, Tinubu pushes for new African defense doctrine. And then we have here Jonathan Obi IPDP as party's neck zones presidency to the south. Wike has been vindicated, says media aide. Damagun confirmed substantive national chair. That's all we have for you on the front page of This Day. Quickly, let's see what New Telegraph newspaper has for us this morning. Starting with the banner headline, 2027, unlike in 2023, PDP zones presidency to south, confirms Damagun as national chair, with riders saying convention must be inclusive. That's coming from the BOT. PDP more formidable since your exit. Governors reply ADC as Reps Kakos backs party's resolutions. Olawakpo Ashim, PDP zoning plan endorses Tinubu's re-election bid. That's interesting. Then at the mast, we have fuel subsidy removal, good reform done wrongly, Ezekwesili. JAM direct fresh upload of 2025 WASEC results by candidates. We have seen this other story. 5 journalists among 20 killed in Israel strike on hospital. That's from the Gaza authorities there. International syndicate involved in crude oil theft. That's coming from Ujulari. How interesting. As African defense chiefs brainstorm on regional security, Tinubu seeks collective action among African countries against terrorism, cybercrime, others. Gambari, over 1,000 terrorist groups operating within the continent. CVR, 1.4 million Nigerians have completed online registration, says INEC, begins fiscal process. 2027, Ijo Urobo asks INEC to obey Supreme Court ruling on Warri delineation. Let's quickly see the last paper for review, and that's the Daily Sun newspaper. Finally, PDP zones 2027 presidential ticket to the south. That's no longer news. ASU warns of looming crisis, accuses federal government of delay tactics. Federal government executively fight over economy. Let's see what other stories we have here that we've not mentioned. Okay, federal government marketers deadlock halt Dangote's nationwide fuel rollout. Okay, still talking about the CVR, continuous voter registration. INEC records 1,379,000 new registrants nationwide. This story seems to be conflicting because the first paper we saw about this CVR telling us about Osun State was like Osun was leading in the CVR registration with 1.3 million. I was worried. What's the population of Osun State that will be having 1.3 million people registering? Is this a plot to give us? Is this within a week? Within a week. Is this a plot to give us the results of the 2027 election even before we've even gone to the ballot? So now, based on this, in one of the papers, we saw that the Southeast is ranked lowest in this online voter registration. Is it a perennial problem in this part of the world that people find it so difficult to leave what it is that they are doing to go register, not knowing the importance of casting your vote in an election?
It could be looked at in two ways. One is that, is it that they've done more when it was done physically that made them not to go high to that extent? As though this is the statistics that is rolled out, we don't know the source. Again, the other side is that
the source is INEC, because INEC is the one conducting the continuous voter registration, and has captured on Daily Trust newspaper 1.3 million. That is Osun leads with 1.3 million new registered voters in 1 week. 1.3 million as captured by Daily Trust newspaper.
That's what I'm saying.
So
is it not the same INEC that caused glitches in the 2020 election?
That was even at the election. We're talking about registration. These are people that will now be eligible to vote from that election.
I know,
but now we are seeing that the Southwest and Osun seems to be leading. 1.3 million is a huge number coming from a particular state. That's my worry here.
That's what I'm saying. That who knows how they churned out that that figure. So we shall be wary of the INEC. But at the same time, I want to beckon on our people, the Southeasterners, to please utilize the opportunity, if you have not registered before, to register. I think it's still online.
Till 2026.
Yes, online.
It's going to be ongoing till August next year.
Yes.
So it's important for every person because people turn 18 on a daily basis.
Of course.
You understand? So there's every need. But then the issue is the Southeast. That's my worry. And I believe that with this election coming up on the 8th of November, let's see if there's going to be an improvement from what we had the last time.
Yeah, I advise the Southeasterners to please go out there, register, make sure you have your CVR. It's good to vote and be voted for.
Okay, quickly, this Well, this will be the last shot before we call it a wrap. Talking about ASU warning.
Thank you. That's what.
ASU warning looming crisis if
Yes,
federal government
yes.
don't seem to, probably
Look their way.
Look their way, and it's really, really worrisome. We've had children, lecturers, sitting at home for close to a year, 11-month strike, and I don't think we'll want to have a repeat of that. So, federal government, in your own wisdom, there should be something to be done. While you're tinkering about increasing pay package for your political office holders, you should equally think of other critical sectors of the economy. Now, do you think that we are ripe for another strike pending when the government and ASU meet to end this their stalemate? And when is it even going to come to an end? I don't really understand.
It's very disheartening that the very federal government is highly insensitive to what concerns the common man. Some time ago, I was here and gave an account of my friend who saw the epileptic, university system we have, because he can afford it. He sent his ward abroad to Cyprus, and his mates, when they just came out from JAM, they entered university here, while the chap went abroad. I can tell you that the guy from Cyprus graduated and was doing masters when our children here was in year 2 in the university, while the other guy is doing masters. After masters, he went in for a PhD and was working. So that tells you the debilitating effect of inconsistency in the school system and the strike effect.
Okay.
So if the federal government knows what they are doing to both the students, the lecturers, the parents, they should please do all they can within their arsenal to make sure this strike does not repeat. The ASOP is there, that's for polytechnics, university is there. Solve their problem once and for all.
Okay.
Shelve the idea of increasing money for political office holders. They are taking enough. They are taking more than what they can take, while the common masses are suffering.
Okay, that's thank you so much for your disposition on that. That's the much we can take on the press review this morning. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Sir Jerry Obodo, for being here to delve into these papers that we discussed this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, well, the show still goes on this morning, but next is going to be the discussion segment on Good Morning Anambra. And I'm sure you might be wanting to know what it is that we'll be talking next. Well, it will glad you to interest you that our next topic for discussion this morning is going to be AI and you, how it impacts you. Well, we have our guest here waiting to get back on the show so that we can then give it to you just like it is. Don't go anywhere. The show is just getting started.